Chapter 13.1, Tangent Ratio. This is the first chapter that we're doing on trigonometry. Trigonometry is the study of the measurement of triangles and of trigonometric functions and their applications. In this class, we're only doing a basic introduction to trigonometry. It's not difficult at all if you pay attention. However, as I've said before, the majority of your next exam consists of trigonometry, so it's very important that you pay attention and that you do the homework assignment so that you could practice what you're learning in this lesson. Also, the geometry end of course exam, which is the exam that you have at the end of the year that covers everything we've done in this class for the entire year. That exam also has a lot of trigonometry problems on it. Trigonometría es el estudio de la medición de los triángulos y de las funciones trigonométricas y sus aplicaciones. En esta clase solamente estamos haciendo una introducción a trigonometría, que no es difícil, es bastante fácil si ponen atención. Como ya he dicho, la mayoría del próximo examen consiste de trigonometría, así que es muy importante que pongan atención a esta lección y que hagan la tarea para practicar lo que están aprendiendo en esta lección. También el examen que tienen al fin del año, que en esta clase, que cubre todo lo que hemos hecho este año, tiene mucha trigonometría. For today's lesson, you're going to need a calculator or iPhone so that you could follow along as I'm showing you how to do the problems on your calculator. Para hoy deben tener una calculadora o un iPhone para que puedan seguir lo que cuando yo estoy explicando cómo hacer los problemas en la calculadora. Alright, so what we're going to learn today is how to find the tangent of an angle. Alright, the tangent of an angle is basically when you divide. To find the tangent ratio of an angle, you just divide the opposite side by the adjacent side, which I'll demonstrate in a moment. For this diagram, for this example that's right here, okay, let's pretend that we're looking at everything from the point of view of angle A. All right, if we look at everything from the point of view of angle A, let's talk about how you label all three sides because that's very important. First of all, we have the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is always the side opposite the right angle. Everybody should know that by now. There should be no debate about which side is the hypotenuse. It's always the side opposite the right angle. Now there's two other sides, the adjacent side and the opposite side. Okay, again, I said that we're looking at it from the point of view of angle A. So from the point of view of angle A, the hypotenuse is touching angle A, and so is this side right here. Adjacent means next to. Adjacent means next to. So if this is the hypotenuse side, the other side that's touching angle A has to be the adjacent side. And the side that's directly opposite angle A, all the way over here on the opposite side, that's the opposite side. All right, that's why it's labeled opposite. If that seems simple to you, great. But from what I've noticed in the past is that a lot of times and when we get to trigonometry, when students start messing up, it's because they label the sides incorrectly. All right, so you always got to be able to identify which is the hypotenuse, which is the adjacent side, and which is the opposite side. Again, the hypotenuse is always the side opposite the right angle. The adjacent side, adjacent means next to. So the adjacent side is the other side that's touching the angle that we're talking about. In this case, I told you that we're looking at it from the point of view of angle A. And then the opposite side is directly across from angle A over here. This is the opposite side, okay? Okay, así que en estos problemas tenemos que identificar correctamente los lados. Okay, cada lado tiene un nombre específico. Uno es la hipotenusa, otro es el lado adyacente y el otro es el lado opuesto. Todos los problemas van a ser con triángulos rectos, con triángulos que tienen un ángulo de 90 grados. Así que el lado que es la hipotenusa, ya todo el mundo debe saber eso. La hipotenusa siempre es el lado que está opuesto al ángulo de 90 grados. Eso es la hipotenusa. Ahora, para este problema o para este ejemplo, quiero que Lo estamos mirando desde el punto de vista de ángulo A. ¿Ok? Así que desde el punto de vista de ángulo A, si quiero identificar cuál lado es el lado adyacente y cuál lado es el lado opuesto, si esto es la hipotenusa, el lado adyacente, adyacente quiere decir al lado. Así que el lado adyacente tiene que ser el otro lado que está tocando ángulo A. Y el lado opuesto es directamente opuesto al ángulo A, que es este lado aquí, que ni está tocando ángulo A. Es el único lado que no está tocando ángulo A. Okay, now that we got that, let's add some numbers to this example so that you can see how easy it is to find the tangent of angle A, okay? Vamos a poner algunos números para que vean cómo se hace el problema y qué fácil es esto. Okay, so I added these numbers, these easy numbers. All right, so if I want to find the tangent of angle A, to find the tangent of an angle, you just divide the opposite side by the adjacent side. That's it. That's all that you do. So in this example, again, I said we're looking at it from the point of view of angle A. I'm going to divide the opposite side, which in this case measures 4, by the adjacent side, which in this case measures 3. So the tangent of angle A, that's how you read this. The tangent of angle A, all you would do in your calculator is 4 divided by 3, and it gives you approximately 1.33. It gives you a decimal that keeps running, 33333, so you round it. I rounded it to the nearest hundredth, so it's approximately 1.33. If anybody doesn't know what those squiggly equal signs mean, they mean approximately. Because I had to round my answer, that's why I'm putting approximately. Alright, so again, from the point of view of angle A, to find the tangent of angle A, you just divide the length of the opposite side by the length of the adjacent side. In this case, it's 4 divided by 3, which gave me my answer, which is approximately 1.33. Para encontrar el tangent de un ángulo, tengo que dividir el lado opuesto por el lado adyacente. Si estoy buscando el tangent de ángulo A, estamos mirando este problema desde el punto de vista de ángulo A. El lado opuesto es este lado, que en este caso mide 4, y el lado adyacente mide 3. Así que simplemente divido 4 por 3 en la calculadora y mi respuesta es aproximadamente 1.33. Este signo quiere decir aproximadamente. Okay, now look. Let's say now we're looking at it from the point of view of angle B. Okay, if we look at it from the point of view of angle B, okay, this is going to change things because now the hypotenuse stays the same. All right, let me use the same colors I did before. So the hypotenuse has not changed. The hypotenuse never changes. All right, so this side is still the hypotenuse. It's the side opposite the right angle. However, my opposite and my adjacent sides change now. All right, because now the adjacent side to angle B has to be this side right here. Okay, this side is adjacent. Remember, adjacent means next to. So if this side is the hypotenuse, the other side that's touching angle B has to be the adjacent side. And the side that's not touching angle B at all, that's directly opposite it, that has to be the opposite side, which is this one right here. So this is your opposite side from the point of view of angle B. So now to find now we're going to find the tangent of angle B in one moment, which means I'm going to divide this side by this side, all right? Let me just say that in Spanish real quick and then we'll move on. Okay, ahora si cambio el punto de vista en este triángulo al ángulo B, okay, la hipotenusa se mantiene igual, la hipotenusa nunca cambia, siempre el lado directamente opuesto al ángulo de 90 grados. Lo que sí cambia es cuál lado es el opuesto y cuál lado es el adyacente. Okay, en este caso el adyacente, recuerden que adyacente quiere decir al lado, así que tiene que ser el otro lado que está tocando ángulo B y el lado opuesto está directamente opuesto a ángulo B en el otro lado. Okay, así que para encontrar el tangent de ángulo B tengo que dividir este lado por este lado, como voy a hacer en un momento. Alright, so let me add the same numbers. Alright, this is the same exact numbers. The only thing that I changed is now we're looking at it from the point of view of angle B. So now to find the tangent of angle B, alright, that's how I read this, the tangent of angle B. I'm gonna divide. I still divide the opposite side by the adjacent side. To find the tangent, you always divide the opposite by the adjacent side. So in this case, the opposite side is the 3 side, and the adjacent side is 4. So 3 divided by 4 gives me my answer, which is 0.75. The tangent of angle B is 0.75. Okay, así que dividí. Para coger el tangent de ángulo B, tengo que dividir el lado opuesto que mide 3 por el lado adyacente que mide 4 y mi respuesta sería 0.75. Alright, so let me, hold on, sorry. Let me do, let's look at this example here, okay? Let's look at this example. It says find the tangent of each specified angle. Alright, so find the tangent of angle Q. Alright, so here's angle Q. So let's first of all identify which is the hypotenuse, which is the adjacent, and which is the opposite, okay? Vamos a identificar los lados. Alright, so the hypotenuse is always the same. This is the hypotenuse. It's always the side opposite the right angle. Now from the point of view of angle Q, this would be the adjacent side, because if this side is the hypotenuse, the adjacent side has to be the other side that's touching angle Q. So this would be the adjacent side. And the opposite side would be the side directly opposite angle Q, which is this one. Alright, so always, to find the tangent of an angle, you divide the opposite side by the adjacent side. Okay, siempre para encontrar el tangent de un ángulo se divide el lado opuesto por el lado adyacente. So in this case, the tangent of angle Q, alright, is going to be the opposite side, which measures 15, divided by the adjacent side, which measures 36. Alright, so when I do that in my calculator, if you give me one moment. So 15 divided by 36. So I'm going to have to round my answer, so it's approximately 0.42. For this lesson, I highly recommend that you follow along with me and do the calculations, okay? Para esta lección recomiendo que estén siguiendo todo lo que estoy haciendo y que hagan las calculaciones en la calculadora para estar seguro que entienden lo que estoy haciendo. Alright, now let me do the same thing for angle R. Ahora voy a hacer la misma cosa para ángulo R. Okay, now for angle R, the relationship changes. My hypotenuse is still the same. That never changes, alright? La hipotenusa no cambia nunca. Siempre igual. But from the point of view of angle R, now this one right here, this side is the adjacent side. Again, if this is the hypotenuse, the adjacent has to be the other side that's touching angle R, which has to be this one. Si esta es la hipotenusa, el lado adyacente tiene que ser el otro lado que está tocando el ángulo R en este caso, que sería este. And the opposite side is the only side not touching angle R at all. Okay, el lado opuesto es el único lado que no está tocando ángulo R. Alright, so again, to find the tangent of any angle, you always do the opposite divided by the adjacent. Siempre para el tangent se divide el lado opuesto por el lado adyacente. So in this case, the tangent of angle R is going to be 36 divided by 15, which is going to give me 2.4. Alright, let's look at some more examples. Alright, I'm going to do these 4 examples here, okay? It says, in each right triangle, find the tangent of each angle that is not, find the tangent of each angle that is not the right angle. By the way, in case you're wondering, you're never going to do this for the right angle. You only do it for the other 2 angles, never for the right angle, okay? So in each problem, I got to do 2. I got to find 2 things. I got to find the tangent of this angle as well as this angle. Of the 2 angles that are not 90 degrees, basically, okay? En cada problema tengo que encontrar el tangent de cada ángulo que no sea un ángulo recto. Okay, esto nunca se hace para un ángulo recto, siempre para los otros 2 ángulos. So in the first one, the tangent of angle A is going to be, okay, so the hypotenuse is this side, the adjacent is this side, and the opposite is this side. So the tangent of angle A is going to be 8 divided by 6, because it's always the opposite over the adjacent. And 8 divided by 6 is going to give me approximately 1.33. Alright, now I'm going to do the same thing for angle B, alright, which changes which side is the opposite and which side is the adjacent, alright. So from the point of view of angle B, this is the adjacent and this is the opposite. Okay, so the tangent of angle B is going to be 6 divided by 8, which is going to equal 0.75. Ok, para el tangent de ángulo B tengo que dividir 6 por 8, porque este es el lado opuesto y este es el lado adyacente. For number 3, let's find the tangent of angle D first. So if you look at this triangle, this is the hypotenuse, because it's directly opposite the right angle. So that means that this would be the adjacent, and this would be the opposite side. Alright, so tangent is always opposite divided by adjacent. So in this case, it's going to be 5 divided by 9, which is going to give you approximately 0.56 if I round it to the nearest hundredth. Okay, now if I get the tangent of angle F from the point of view of angle F, alright, then this is going to be the opposite, and this is going to be the adjacent side. So the tangent of angle F would be 9 over 5, 9 divided by 5, which is going to equal 1.8. Alright, let me do number 4. Alright, so for number 4, the tangent of angle A, from the point of view of angle A, the opposite side is 32, and the adjacent side is 75. So 32 divided by 75 is going to equal approximately 0.43 if I round it to the nearest hundredth. And if I get the tangent of angle B, the opposite side from the point of view of angle B would be 75, and the adjacent side would be 32. So 75 divided by 32 would equal, if I round it, let me round it, 2.34, approximately 2.34. Okay, and the last one, number 5. Okay, so we're getting the tangent of each angle that is not a right angle. So I got to get the tangent of angle P and the tangent of angle R. First, the tangent of angle P. Just to make sure we're all on the same page, this is the hypotenuse. And let me try to take this one in Spanish. Okay, esta es la hipotenusa del punto de vista de ángulo P. Okay, este lado, si esta es la hipotenusa, este lado tiene que ser el lado adyacente. En inglés, adjacent. Y este lado tiene que ser el lado opuesto. Así que siempre para encontrar el tangent de un ángulo tengo que dividir el lado opuesto por el lado adyacente. Así que en este caso sería 19 dividido por 3, que me da aproximadamente 6.33. Okay, and now if I get the tangent of angle R, the opposite and the adjacent switch. Alright, this becomes the adjacent and this becomes the opposite. Del punto de vista de ángulo R, el lado adyacente y el lado opuesto cambian. So now for tangent R, I would have to do 3 divided by 19. Okay, and 3 divided by 19 equals approximately 0.16 if I round it to the nearest hundredth. By the way, notice that the tangent of the opposite angles, they're just reciprocals of each other. All right, notice that. Okay. Fíjense que el tangent de un ángulo comparado al de el otro ángulo, son el recíproco uno del otro. All right, so that covers how to get the tangent of an angle. Now we got to go to our next part that we got to go over in this section. By the way, there it shows you everything that you have to divide to get the answer. So if you need help on your homework, feel free to look at that, okay? Ahí te enseña todo lo que tenemos que dividir para coger la respuesta, así que si en la tarea no entienden cuál número se tiene que dividir, pueden mirar aquí. Okay, okay, so let me see, did I erase? Yeah, I did erase it. Okay, so notice something. For the tangent of angle A compared to the tangent of angle B, like I just said a second ago, they're reciprocals. They're both reciprocals of each other. They're both reciprocals of each other. They're both reciprocals of each other. Because we need that for the next questions that I'm about to do, okay? Okay, así que otra vez, si se fijan, el tangent de un ángulo es el recíproco del otro ángulo. Ok, porque necesitamos eso para los problemas que voy a hacer ahora. Alright, so it says here that let triangle ABC be a right triangle with the measure of angle C equal to 90 degrees. Alright, so you got a triangle, you could draw it however you want. Let's say you draw it like that, alright? Angle C is the 90-degree angle, so A and B. Okay, you didn't have to draw it exactly like that, but just to give you an idea of what they mean. Alright, so given the tangent of one of the complementary angles of the triangle, find the tangent of the other angle. So if they tell you that the tangent of angle A is 1.25, how would I find the tangent of angle B? Well, we just saw that the two tangents are reciprocals of each other. So to find the tangent of angle B, I would just get the reciprocal of 1.25 by doing 1 divided by 1.25. So the tangent of angle B, by the way, they also write it like this, all right? This is also correct to write it like that. All right, but the tangent of angle B would just divide 1 by 1.25. And in this case, it would be 0.8 would be your answer. All I'm doing is getting the reciprocal by dividing 1 by whatever number is here. Or let me say that a better way. Getting the reciprocal, remember to get the reciprocal of a fraction, you just flip it upside down. So just imagine if you turn this into a fraction by putting a 1 on the bottom and then just flip it and divide 1 by the number that's on the bottom, that'll give you your answer. So that's all I'm doing, okay? Lo único que estoy haciendo es cogiendo el recíproco de este número. Así que si cambiamos este número a una fracción poniéndole un 1 debajo y lo ponemos al revés, sería 1 sobre 1.25 y simplemente estoy dividiendo 1 dividido por 1.25 y eso me da mi respuesta. Alright, so the tangent of angle B equals 0.50, so that means that the tangent of angle A would have to be the reciprocal of 0.50. So again, imagine there's a 1 on the bottom, so flip it upside down and divide. Okay, so 1 divided by 0.50 would give you 2. Alright, so the tangent of angle A equals 2. And the last one, the tangent of angle B, so is 1.0. So that means that the tangent of angle A would be the reciprocal of this. You should be able to guess what the answer is going to be. All right, the reciprocal of this would be 1 divided by 1.0, which is the same as 1. So when you divide that, you're going to get, obviously, the answer is going to be 1. The tangent of angle A equals 1. Okay, and by the way, that's not the second thing we need to go over. That's that's kind of related to the first thing we just went over. Now we're going to go to the second part of the lesson. Okay? All right, this is the second part of the lesson, and definitely you need to pay attention to this part because a lot of the questions on your exams and on your homework are like this question right here. All right? Esta es la segunda parte de la lección. Okay? Y muchas de las preguntas que salen en los exámenes son como esta pregunta que tenemos ahora. Okay, so it says, in order to meet safety guidelines, a roof contractor determines that she must place the base of her ladder 6 feet away from the house, making an angle of 76 degrees with the ground. Look at the picture a second with the house. There's a ladder right here, okay? So listen, this type of question comes up all the time. They disguise it slightly differently, but it's very similar every time, right? You have a ladder that's slanted. The ladder is slanted against the house, right? The house is a straight vertical line. The ground is a straight horizontal line. So the house and the ground create a 90-degree angle. So what you have is this slanted line against the house, which is a straight vertical line, and the ground, which is a straight horizontal line, and the house and the ground create a 90-degree angle. All right, so you're going to see this type of example a lot. And they're not always going to give you a picture, so you got to realize that it creates a right triangle. Now it says that the base of her ladder is 6 feet away from the house. Here's the ladder. The ladder is a slanted line. I know there's a picture right there, but I'm just drawing my own version so you could see how to think about it. All right, so the ladder is the slanted line. So this is the base of the ladder right here, and it's 6 feet away, 6 feet away from the house. Okay, so this side is 6 feet. Okay, and it makes an angle of 76 degrees with the ground. The ladder makes an angle of 76 degrees with the ground. Okay, and the question is, to the nearest tenth of a foot, how far above the ground is the eave of the roof? Okay, in other words, what is the length of this side? That is what they're asking you. What is the length of this side? If they wouldn't have given me a picture, I could have pictured the house. Let's say I could have pictured I could have pictured it this way. Like I don't have enough space to draw the entire house, but I could have pictured this is the house, and the ladder is this way, and this is the ground, and the house and the ground create a 90-degree angle, and this creates a 76-degree angle. Whatever. I could have drawn the right triangle this way, and it would have been this side is 6 feet, and I would have been trying to find what is this side. Either way, it's the same problem. Okay. So as you can see, we're just trying to find the length of this side, which I'll go over how to find in one moment. Okay, let me just say that in Spanish real quick. Okay, así que este tipo de problemas sale mucho en los exámenes. Okay, y tienen que entender que cómo ver lo que están describiendo en el problema. Okay, te están diciendo que están poniendo una escalera contra una casa. Okay, la escalera es la línea inclinada. Okay, la casa es la línea vertical y el piso es una línea horizontal que hace un ángulo de 90 grados con la casa. La casa y el piso forman un ángulo de 90 grados y la línea inclinada o el lado inclinado es la escalera. Okay, y dice que la escalera forma un ángulo de 76 grados con el piso. Si lo hubiera dibujado de esta forma es la misma cosa, porque muchas veces no te dan una foto. Okay, así que si imagino que la casa está a la mano izquierda, sería la misma cosa. Okay, ahora le voy a enseñar cómo encontrar, porque básicamente la pregunta es qué largo tiene este lado. Okay, so here's how you do it. All right, we said that tangent is always, where can I write? Let me write up here. Tangent is always the opposite side over the adjacent side. By the way, just from doing the problems and from listening, you should end up memorizing that. Because next class, we're going to learn 2 more ratios that you got to learn. Believe it or not, like from seeing them, you'll memorize them. Like, I don't want you to sit down and try to memorize it. You're just going to memorize it naturally, hopefully. Okay, but you should memorize that. Okay, so to find the tangent of an angle, you always divide the opposite side by the adjacent side. So this is what we're going to do. All right, we're looking for this side, so let's label it X. Okay, so notice that from the point of view of the 76-degree angle, or from the point of view of angle A, we have the opposite side, which is what we're looking for, and the adjacent side. Remember, this angle right here is 90 degrees, so that means that this side, the slanted side, the ladder, is the hypotenuse. We're not going to use it in our calculations, but I'm just pointing it out to tell you that, how I could label which side is the opposite and which side is the adjacent. This side, from the point of view of angle A, this side is the opposite, and this side right here is the adjacent. All right. So look how I'm going to set up my equation. The tangent of 76 degrees equals x, which is the opposite side, divided by 6, which is the adjacent side. Now I'm going to use algebra to solve for x. All right. To solve for x, I need to get x by itself on one side of the equation. So what I'm going to do is move 6 to the left side of the equation and do the opposite of division, which is multiplication. So 6 times the tangent, let me write it like this, 6 times the tangent of 76 degrees. They usually don't write these parentheses. I'm just putting them there just for now, okay? Now listen, here's the part where I really need you to pay attention, because the order that you punch this into your calculator is different from what you would probably think, okay? Whenever you're going to get the tangent of an angle, basically in the calculator, first you got to put 76. Then you press the button that says tan, and whatever it gives you, you multiply it times 6 and hit equals. All right, so let me say that again. And listen, I recommend that you do this in the calculator as I tell you, and check whether you get the answer that I get, okay? So here's the order you should put it in. First, in your calculator, put 76. Oh, and by the way, before I forget, in your iPhone, in order to get this calculator, you need to turn your calculator sideways. I know some of you know that, and some of you may not know that, or may have forgotten that. So to get this calculator, you need to turn your iPhone calculator sideways in order for all these extra buttons to show up, okay? Si tienen un iPhone, para poder ver esta calculadora, lo tienen que poner de lado para que salgan todos estos botones. Si no lo ponen de lado, no sale estos botones. All right, so in your calculator, first enter 76. Once you put 76, then you got to press this button right here to get the tangent of 76. All right, you should get 4.01078, whatever. Okay, now next step is you got to multiply that times 6. So hit the multiplication button and then hit 6 and then hit equals. Okay, and your answer is going to be approximately, x equals approximately 24.06 when you round it. That's your answer. X equals approximately 24.06. I'll go through the process one more time in English. All right. So I set up my equation. Now to solve for x, I got to move 6 to the left and multiply 6 times the tangent of 76 degrees. Okay. Now, I could have entered it from left to right, but that leads to, like, if you don't know what you're doing, you could easily mess that up, all right? From what I've found, it's easier to explain it and not have you guys make mistakes if I explain it from right to left, all right? So basically, all I'm doing is getting this first by doing the 70. I enter 76, and then I hit the tangent button. So in your calculator, you press 76, and then you hit the tangent button. Then you multiply whatever that gave you. Multiply, so hit the multiplication button, times 6, and then hit equals, and it should give you this answer, approximately 24.06 when you round. En español, así que hice mi ecuación. El tangent de 76 grados es igual a el lado opuesto, que en este caso es x, sobre el lado adyacente, que en este caso es 6. X sobre 6. Ahora yo quiero saber qué valor tiene x, así que voy a usar álgebra para resolver para x. Tengo que coger x solo en un lado de la ecuación. Así que moví el 6 a la izquierda y hice lo opuesto de dividir por 6, que sería multiplicar por 6. Ahora, es muy importante que entren la información en la calculadora correctamente. Si lo hacen de izquierda a derecha se puede hacer, pero es muy fácil hacer un error, especialmente cuando no saben, cuando están aprendiendo esto. ¿Ok? Así que de lo que yo he visto, creo que es más fácil no hacer un error si lo hacen de derecha a izquierda en la calculadora de la siguiente manera. Primero ponen 76, después aprietan este botón que dice tangent, y lo que te dé lo tiene que multiplicar por 6. Así que aprietan el botón de multiplicación y aprietan el 6, y al final aprietan el botón de igual a. Y la respuesta que le da es aproximadamente 24.06. All right, let's go to another example, which will change things slightly. All right, so let's look at this one. It says for right triangle STU, what is the length of the leg adjacent to angle S? What is the length of the leg adjacent to angle S? All right, I'm going to do it on my own way here. I think it'll be easier for you guys to understand. So here's angle S. First of all, identify the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is the side opposite the right angle. So this is the hypotenuse. So the adjacent side to angle S has to be the other side that's touching angle S, which would be this one right here. This side has to be the adjacent side. Adjacent, okay. And that means that this side across from it has to be the opposite side. Okay, now the question is, what is the length of the side of the, what is the length of the leg adjacent to angle S? What is the length of this side? Now look, this question is going to change your equation a little bit, and this is another thing that I've noticed over the years that students mess up. Okay, so listen, just try to be like when you have formulas, you got to act like a robot and just obey exactly what the formula tells you to do. Okay, so look, as I've said before, let me write it down here. To get the tangent of an angle, I always divide the opposite side by the adjacent side. All right, so look, I'm going to use this angle right here, the angle S, which has the 54 degrees. So the tangent of 54 degrees, that's how I would write it. The tangent of 54 degrees equals the opposite side divided by the adjacent side. In this case, the opposite side is 87. And the adjacent side is what I'm looking for. I don't know what the length of the adjacent side is, so I'm going to put a variable. Let's put the letter x. Okay, so notice the difference. Here, the x is on the bottom of the fraction. In the previous example, the x was on the top. Again, over the years, students mess this up a lot, so that's why I'm pointing it out. Notice that the x is now at the bottom of the fraction, okay? Because that's the side that's missing is the adjacent side, okay? Fíjense que el lado que falta ahora es el lado adyacente, así que el x lo puse abajo, porque para encontrar el tangent siempre el lado opuesto dividido por el lado adyacente. En este problema sí sé cuánto mide el lado opuesto, lo que no sé es cuánto mide el lado adyacente. Eso es lo que tengo que encontrar. All right, so I'm going to use algebra to get x by itself. Okay, voy a usar lo que sé de álgebra para coger el variable solo en un lado de la ecuación. All right, so I'm going to move the x to the left and do the opposite of division, which is multiplication. And by the way, you don't need to put a parentheses there. When they write that, that means multiplication. I just did it on the previous example just to, I don't know, to try to help people understand. Okay? Así que moví el x para la izquierda para multiplicarlo con el tangent de 54 grados. Okay, but I'm trying to get x by itself. Alright, so that means I'm going to move the tangent of 54 degrees to the right of the equation and do the opposite of multiplication, which is division. So my problem is going to become x equals 87 divided by the tangent of 54 degrees. All right, just wait for me so I can tell you what to do in the calculator. All right, yo quiero coger la x sola, así que ahora estoy moviendo el tangent de 54 grados al otro lado de la ecuación y haciendo lo opuesto de multiplicación, que sería división. Así que x es igual a 87 dividido por el tangent de 54 grados. Okay, so now let me tell you how to enter it into the calculator. All right, in the calculator, you're going to do, hold on, let me get there. Okay, 87. Follow along, please. In the calculator, put 87 divided by 54 tan equals, and the answer that you should get is approximately 63.21 if you round it to the nearest hundredth. I'll say it again in case you weren't with me. All right, so in my calculator, I would enter 87 divided by 54 tan. When I say tan, that means hit this button right here. Equals 87 divided by 54 tan equals. And your answer, when you round it to the nearest hundredth, is approximately 63.21. Así que en la calculadora deben poner 87 dividido por 54 tan, que es este botón aquí, tangent, igual a, y le debe dar aproximadamente 63.21. 87 dividido por 54 tan igual a, y te da aproximadamente, cuando lo redondeamos, 63.21. All right, let's look at another example. They rounded it to the nearest tenth. Okay, you think we got enough examples there? All right, so listen, these problems are super important. And really, if you know your basic algebra, it's really not difficult. I'm just doing basic algebra. Like once you get the little technique of how to enter it into the calculator, they're not difficult. All right, so let's look at number 9. Find QR. Okay, so from the point of view of the 60 degrees, here's how I would set up my problem. The tangent of 60 degrees equals, tangent is always opposite over adjacent. So from the point of view of 60 degrees, the opposite side is the 7, and the adjacent side is what I'm looking for. That's the one I don't know, so I'm going to put the letter X there. Now look, again, I want to get X by itself, and I want to show you a trick to doing it a little faster. I move the X to the left to multiply it with the tangent of 60 degrees. Then I move tangent of 60 degrees to the right to divide it into the 7. So look, after you do this a couple times, you're going to see that when you got the X down here, you just switch places. The X goes here and the tangent of 60 goes here. Can you see that a second? Because that'll make your life a lot simpler if you realize that. Okay, when X is on the bottom of the fraction and you're trying to get X by itself, you just put the X, basically the X and the tangent of 60 degrees are switching places to get to here. X equals 7 divided by tangent of 60 degrees. Okay, now let me go over again how to enter that into the calculator. Basically, whenever you have this part, you always got to enter the number before you hit the tan button. That's the trick. That's the technique. Okay, that's the key thing to remember. So what I'm doing in the calculator is this. I'm just entering 7 divided by 60 tan equals 7 divided by 60 tan equals. Now let me do it. 7 divided by 60 tan equals. You should get approximately 4.04 should be your answer. Let me just say that in Spanish. I'll try to move quicker as we go through the problem, okay? Quiero que se den cuenta que cuando la X está en la parte de abajo de la fracción, cuando hace los movimientos necesarios, termina haciendo la ecuación que el X y el tangent de 60 grados cambian de lugar. Si miran aquí, cuando terminé de mover las piezas de la ecuación, los términos. ¿Okay? Así que simplemente cuando la X está aquí abajo, cambia lugar con lo que dice aquí. ¿Okay? Para coger la X sola. Así que ahora tengo que hacer 7 dividido por el tangent de 60 grados. El truco es, siempre cuando llegan a esta parte, tienen que poner el número antes de poner esta palabra, antes de dar el botón que dice tangent, ¿ok? Así que lo que estoy poniendo en la calculadora es 7 dividido por 60 tan igual a, y te da aproximadamente 4.04. Otra vez, 7 dividido por 60 tan igual a, y eso te da aproximadamente 4.04. Let's look at number 10. All right, find AC. So from the point of view of the only angle they gave us, which is the 27 degrees, let me set up my equation. The tangent of 27 degrees equals the opposite side over the adjacent side. This is the hypo. So the opposite side is this one. The adjacent side is this one. So the tangent is always the opposite divided by the adjacent. So the opposite side is the unknown. So I'm going to put the X. And the adjacent side is 8. Now the X is on the top, so that changes what we're going to do. Alright? So to get X by itself, I move the 8 to the left and I multiply it times the tangent of 27 degrees. So listen to my advice. You always, whenever you're dealing with this part, you always got to put the number that's here before you hit the tan button. If you go from right to left, it's the simplest way to avoid making a mistake. So in your calculator, Do 27 tan times 8 equals, and that'll give you the answer. 27 tan times 8 equals 27 tan times 8 equals, and your answer is approximately 4.08. 4.08 is the answer you get. If by any chance you want to go from left to right, you could do that, all right? It's just easier to mess up that way. If you go from if you go from left to right, you would do 8 times 27 tan equals, and you get the same answer. If you go from left to right, you would do 8 times 27 tan equals, and you get the exact same answer. The thing is that when people go from left to right, when you're new to this, a lot of people mess up and they do 8, 10, 27, or I'm sorry, they mess up and they do 8, 10 times 27, and that gives you a totally wrong answer. So in Spanish, okay? En español, cuando hago mi ecuación, en este caso, el lado opuesto es el lado que no sé cuánto mide. Así que por eso es que la X está arriba, porque siempre es el lado opuesto dividido por el lado adyacente. Como la X está arriba, eso cambia lo que tengo que hacer para resolver para este variable. Así que muevo el 8 para la izquierda y lo multiplico con el tangent de 27 grados. La manera más fácil de hacerlo en la calculadora sin hacer error sería ir de derecha a izquierda. Así que en la calculadora pongo 27, después le doy al botón que dice tangent y lo que me dé lo multiplico por 8 y tiene que apretar el signo que dice igual a y le debe dar aproximadamente 4.08. Otra vez, 27 tan por 8 igual a y te da aproximadamente 4.08. Se puede hacer también de izquierda a derecha, pero si lo hacen de esa manera es muy fácil hacer un error cuando están aprendiendo esto. Pero si quieren ir de izquierda a derecha, el proceso sería poner 8 por... Primero se pone el número 27, después se aprieta el botón que dice tan y al final se aprieta el botón de igual a y te da la misma respuesta. All right, let's look at number 11. And let me try to speed it up, all right? So PQ. All right, listen, this is just like a triangle squished together, all right? But it's the same thing. Well, I guess it does make it look a little tougher. But if you look at the 85 degrees, the 85 degrees is at the angle P, right? The 85 degrees is angle P, and the 90-degree angle is angle Q. Make sure you realize that. I don't know why they made it so difficult to look at. It's kind of silly, but whatever. Okay, el ángulo que dice 85 grados es el ángulo P, y el ángulo de 90 grados es ángulo Q. So if angle Q is the right angle, that means that this side is the hypotenuse. Okay, so from the point of view of the only angle they gave us the measurement of, which is angle P, which is 85 degrees, from the point of view of angle P, this side, this side is the adjacent side, and this side is the opposite side. Okay, so the tangent of angle P, the tangent of 85 degrees, is going to equal the opposite side divided by the adjacent side. The opposite side is 9. The adjacent side is the unknown. So I'm going to put the variable x. Remember I said when the x is on the bottom, these two switch places. So let's save time. X equals 9 divided by tangent of 85 degrees. So in your calculator, let's go to the calculator. You do 9 divided by 85 tan equals, and your answer is approximately 0.79. I'll say it again. In your calculator, 9 divided by 85 tan equals, and your answer is approximately 0.79. En la calculadora, 9 dividido por 85 tan igual a, y te da aproximadamente 0.79. 9 dividido por 85 tan igual a 0.79. Alright, I'm going to do one more. I'm not going to do them all to save time. I'm going to do number 12, alright? Vamos a mirar el número 12. This will be the last one. I do like this because we still got a third thing we got to cover. All right, so find DE. So again, look at the only angle. Well, first of all, here's the 90-degree angle. So the hypotenuse has to be this side, okay? Now look at the only angle they're giving us any information on, angle D. So we're going to do it from the point of view of the only angle that they're giving us information on. Okay, lo vamos a hacer del punto de vista del único ángulo que nos están dando información, que sería ángulo D, que es 21 grados. Okay, so the tangent of 21 degrees equals, from the point of view of this angle, the opposite side is the 13, and the adjacent side is the unknown, the one that we're looking for. Okay, that's DE. So I set it up this way. Again, when the x is on the bottom, it switches places with this one to get it by itself. So x equals 13 divided by tan 21. So in your calculator, you would do 13 divided by 21 tan equals, let me do that, 13 divided by 21 tan equals, and your answer is x equals approximately 33.87. I'll say it one more time. 13 divided by 21 tan equals 13 dividido por 21 tan igual a, y te da aproximadamente 33.87. Alright? If you need to know how to do the two that I skipped, here's all the work. So if you have trouble on your homework, you could just look at these examples. Si necesitan estos ejemplos en la tarea, aquí están en el video. Alright, let's move to the third section that we got to do. Alright, again, you need your calculator for this. Esta es la tercera sección que tenemos que hacer hoy. Okay, in this one we're going to go over how to find the measure of an angle. Alright, how to find the measure of an angle, knowing the two sides, okay? Aquí vamos a aprender cómo encontrar la medida de un ángulo. Alright, let me first read everything it says here. Finding an angle measure using tangent. In the previous section, you used a given angle measure and leg measure with a tangent ratio to solve for an unknown leg. What if you are given the leg measures and want to find the measures of the acute angles? If you know the tangent of A, read as tangent of angle A, then you can use that button right here, which I'm going to show you how to find in a second, read as the inverse tangent of angle A. I know this sounds complicated, but I'm going to show you that it's not complicated at all, okay? So just stay with me. Don't get intimidated by some fancy words, guys. All right, so this right here, the way you read it is inverse tangent of angle A. Inverse tangent of angle A. And we're going to use that to find the measure of angle A. So given an acute angle, angle A, if tangent A equals x, then the inverse tangent of x equals the measure of angle A. If that sounds like rocket science to you, it didn't make much sense to me either. But I'm going to show you how to do it. It's actually not difficult, all right? I just had to laugh because that sounds pretty complicated. I got to admit that last part. All right, but look, the important thing that I want you to get from this is whenever you see this, you read this as the inverse tangent of angle A. Let me show you what that means because it's not complicated at all. All right? Basically, here I have my right triangle. Here I have my right triangle. Now, the question is, what is the measure of angle A? How many degrees is angle A? That's the question. How many degrees is angle A? Okay, now notice that from the point of view of angle A, we have our opposite side and we have our adjacent side. Like we have how much they measure. So I'm going to show you how in your calculator you're going to find how many degrees does angle A measure. Okay, now notice that I have two calculators here. They look slightly different. Like look at these buttons right here. Look at these buttons and look at these buttons. They're different. Okay, so to find the measure of an angle, we need these buttons. And the way you're going to get these buttons is by first hitting this button right here that says second. When you hit it, notice that in my new calculator, it turns gray to show that you selected it. And now you got some new buttons. So I'll say it again on your iPhone calculator. By the way, if you don't have an iPhone, on any calculator, well, on any calculator that has these functions, you would hit second and that allows you to press, that allows you to select these buttons, which should be highlighted on top of the sine, cosine, and tangent buttons. If by any chance you have a calculator and you don't see that, you could send me a screenshot and I'll show you how to figure it out, okay? But I'll say it again for the people that don't have an iPhone. If you don't have an iPhone, you would hit the second button on your calculator. Obviously, your calculator needs to have the second button. If it has these buttons to begin with, it's got to have the second button. All right, so once you hit that second button, you should have these keys in a different color on top of the buttons that say sine, cosine, and tangent. All right, but let me talk to the people now that have an iPhone. All right, so once you hit the second button, it changes colors, and now you should have these buttons. These are the buttons that you use to find the measure of an angle, okay? Okay, so here's what you're going to do. Okay, tangent. All right, we already know that tangent is the opposite side divided by the adjacent side. Okay, so to find the measure, let me erase all this real quick. To find the measure of angle A, you're going to do this. You're going to do 19 divided by 36 equals, and then hit this button. I'll say it again. In your calculator, you're going to do 19 divided by 36. Now you got to make sure to hit the equal button so that you get the result of 19 divided by 36. And then once you hit that equal button, you would hit this button right here. And whatever it gives you, that's going to be the measure of angle A. So 19 divided by 36 equals, now I hit that inverse tangent button, okay, and that'll give me my answer. It gives me an answer of approximately 27.824, which when I round it, like they did right here, you're going to round it, it's going to give you 28 degrees. All right, so look what I wrote here, because I think the way I wrote it makes helps it to make as much sense as possible. What I wrote is this: the measure of angle A equals. All right, now I wrote the inverse tangent, and in parentheses, 19 divided by 36. 19 divided by 36. Opposite over adjacent. So what I'm doing in my calculator is, again, 19 divided by 36 equals, and then I hit this button at the end, the inverse tangent button, and that tells me how many degrees is angle A, which when I round it, we're going to say 28 degrees. Let me try to explain that in Spanish. Okay. Así que para encontrar la medida de los ángulos, usamos estos botones. Estos botones solamente salen en el iPhone si primero le dan a este botón aquí para que aparezcan las segundas funciones. Cuando aprietan este botón se cambia este color que enseña que lo seleccionaron y ahora tienen estos botones. Así que en este triángulo ya me dieron el largo del lado opuesto y el largo del lado adyacente del punto de vista de ángulo A, porque la pregunta es ¿qué es la medida de ángulo A? ¿Okay? Así que creo que de la forma que lo escribí aquí es lo más fácil de entender. Lo que escribí es que la medida de ángulo A es igual a, esto quiere decir el inverso de tangent, y aquí puse los lados que estoy dividiendo. Así que lo que hacen en la calculadora es 19 dividido por 36 y le tienen que dar a el botón que dice igual a. Así que 19 dividido por 36 igual a, y al final le dan este botón y eso te da la medida de ángulo A. Estos botones solamente los estamos usando para encontrar la medida de los ángulos. And by the way, quick preview. You see that I circled 3 buttons? Today we're doing tangent. In the next class, we're going to do everything we did today except with the other 2 buttons as well. So that's why it's very important that you do today's homework and practice this, because next class is going to be the same thing but with 2 more ratios. I'm telling you, once you understand it, it's really not difficult at all. Trust me on that. But you got to learn this because the majority of your next exam is on this. By the way, I didn't mean to circle the E. Sorry about that. Ok, así que Es muy importante que hagan la tarea de hoy porque hoy solamente estamos usando el botón de tangent, pero en la próxima clase vamos a hacer todo lo que acabamos de hacer, pero también con estos dos botones, con estos dos radios diferentes que tenemos que aprender también. ¿Ok? Y otra vez, el próximo examen es casi todo sobre trigonometría. Les prometo que no es tan difícil, ¿ok? No es difícil nada, si ponen atención, simplemente es nuevo para ustedes. All right, let's look at another example. All right, for this one, all right, look, because I should have included a picture of this triangle on this slide and I didn't. But look, the question is, what is the measure of angle B? All right, so let me go over the process to find the measure of angle B. I'm gonna do the same thing, but let's find the measure of. You know what? 19 and 36. Let me just draw it. How's that? 19 and 36. A, B, C. All right, got it. So this is A, B, C, 19, 36. And let me make sure I did it right. Yeah. All right. So look, to find the measure of angle B, I mean, I could have like, I don't want to say cheated, but I could have used my answer for angle A and just subtracted from 90 degrees to get my answer. Because remember, the sum of the interior angles has to be 180. This is 90. I already forgot what this was on the previous problem. Oh, it was 27 point, approximately 28. So I could just do 90 degrees minus 28 to get this answer. But let me show you how you do it using the calculator, okay? So the measure of angle B equals the inverse tangent of 36 divided by 19, because from the point of view of angle B, the opposite side is 36, the adjacent side is 19. So again, I recommend that you practice that on the calculator. So in my calculator, I'm going to do 36 divided by 19 equals, and then I hit the inverse tangent button, and your answer is approximately, when you round it to the nearest whole number, approximately 62 degrees. Notice that 62 plus the 28 I got over here gives me 90 degrees. These angles are complementary angles. Ok, así que si tengo que encontrar la medida de ángulo B, hago 36 dividido por 19 igual a, y al final le doy a este botón para el inverso de tangent y me da aproximadamente 62 grados. Y si se dan cuenta, estos dos ángulos son complementarios. La suma te da 90. Para este ángulo me dio 28 y para este ángulo me da 62, que la suma te da 90. All right, let's look at some more. This is the same problem. I guess I messed up a little bit when I put this together. All right, there are the answers. All right, so look, we got to find the measure of angle J. Tenemos que encontrar la medida de ángulo J. Okay, so notice again, in this triangle, this is the hypotenuse, first of all. Okay, esto es la hipotenusa. Hypotenuse. From the point of view of angle J, this is my adjacent side, and this is my op. This is my opposite side. All right. Okay, so the measure of angle J equals the inverse tangent of the opposite side divided by the adjacent side. 46 divided by 93. So in your calculator, you're going to do 46 divided by 93 equals, and then hit the inverse tangent button. And your answer, let's round it to the nearest whole number. Your answer is approximately 26 degrees. Again, you should definitely do that on the calculator and make sure you got it. I'll say it again. In the calculator, you're doing 46 divided by 93 equals, and then you hit the inverse tangent button, and your answer is approximately 26 degrees. En la calculadora, 46 dividido por 93 igual a, y al final le dan a este botón el inverso de tangent y te da aproximadamente 26 grados. Let's look at some more examples. All right, so in this one, number 15, let's find the measure of angle A, la medida de ángulo A. So from the point of view of angle A, well, this is the hypotenuse no matter what. From the point of view of angle A, this is the adjacent side, and this is the opposite side. So the measure of angle A is going to equal the inverse tangent of the opposite side divided by the adjacent side. So 6.8 divided by 3.0. So in your calculator, you're going to enter in this order 6.8 divided by 3 equals, and then you hit the inverse tangent button, and your answer is approximately 66 degrees. En la calculadora, 6.8 dividido por 3 igual a, y al final le dan el botón del inverso de tangent. Let's look at number 16. El número 16, find the measure of angle R. Again, this is the hypotenuse. From the point of view of angle R, this is the opposite side. And this is the adjacent side. So the measure of angle R equals the inverse tangent of the opposite side divided by the adjacent side. El inverso de tangent del lado opuesto dividido por el lado adyacente, así que 9 dividido por 24. So in the calculator, 9 divided by 24 equals, and then hit the inverse tangent button, and your answer is approximately 21 degrees. 20.556, which when you round it is approximately 21 degrees, okay? En la calculadora, 9 dividido por 24, le tienen que dar al botón de igual a, y al final le dan este botón que es el inverso de tangent. Si lo redondeamos al número entero más cercano, sería 21 grados. And the last one, number 17, find the measure of angle B. So again, this is the hypotenuse. From the point of view of angle B, this is the adjacent side, and this is the opposite side. So the measure of angle B is going to equal the inverse tangent of the opposite side divided by the adjacent side of 16 divided by 17. So in your calculator, do 16 divided by 17 equals, and then hit the inverse tangent button, and you get approximately 43 degrees. En la calculadora 16 dividido por 17, can't even talk. 16 dividido por 17 igual a, y al final le dan el botón del inverso de tangent y te da aproximadamente 43 grados. Alright, those are the answers there. Alright guys, that concludes this lesson. Please make sure to do today's homework. It's very important. Okay, if you don't practice this, you're going to be lost. And next class, we're going to do everything we just did, but with 2 more ratios, 2 more buttons, and it's going to be really hard to catch up if you don't do today's homework. So I highly recommend that you do it. If you don't do it, you're going to be lost next class, and you're going to be lost in the exam, and you're basically going to end up with an F for the 3rd quarter. So definitely highly recommend that you do today's homework and that you really try to understand how to do everything, okay? It's due by 6 a.m. the next class, like always, okay? Les recomiendo que hagan la tarea de hoy porque otra vez en la próxima clase vamos a hacer todo lo que hicimos hoy, pero con 2 más proporciones o 2 más radios diferentes de trigonometría que tenemos que aprender. Si no practican lo que acabamos de hacer, se la va a olvidar y en la próxima clase van a estar perdidos y en el examen no van a entender nada. Y si no pasan ese examen y no hacen esta tarea, terminan con una F en el 3rd quarter. Así que hagan la tarea de hoy, es muy importante. Alright guys, that concludes this lesson. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys next class for some more trigonometry. Take care.